Hi guys, Marcus Kakin here from BlindsideFootball.com. Here to tell you a little bit about our premium DFS content we're rolling out this year. We got a lot of great stuff for you, including premium articles, weekly game breakdowns where we have little write-ups on every player you may be considering for your DFS team that week. Weekly projections with salary analysis from FanDuel, DraftKings, and Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. And don't forget about our advanced statistics. We got strength of schedule statistics, defense versus position statistics that tell you things as in-depth as how many receptions are allowed to the running back two on an opposing team, and obviously red zone statistics as well. Probably one of the best things, though, about our package is it's totally free if you're not winning money. That's right, guys. If you don't win money in your 50-50s, in your cash games, in your head-to-head matchups, just let us know and we'll refund you back that portion of your subscription. And finally, guys, we're going to be giving away prizes from time to time. You sign up now with us before the beginning of the season, and we're going to be giving away a Jamal Charles signed football to one lucky subscription member. But we didn't want to stop there. We want to have 2 lucky subscription members. So in addition to the Jamal Charles signed football, we are also giving away a grand prize of an AJ Green signed Bengals jersey. That's right, guys. Sign up with us today. Just $4.99 a week, $14.99 a month, or the best value, $39.99 for the year, and get all this content. Plus, we'll refund you back if you're not winning. And hey, great swag like this, guys. So sign up today, and let's start winning money together.
And now, the Blindside Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts, Marcus Katkin and Matt Dugal.
Guys, we are finally back for another podcast. I know it's been a long time. Matt's back with us. Rob Druin's back with us. Guys, we're back. There's been a lot of football off-the-field activities, I guess, that have happened so far this offseason, but football's back, guys. We have preseason games going on. How are you feeling about this?
I'm feeling like I hope we keep Rob Druin all year. I think we should shoot a few tweets his way. He's one of those guys that comes out guns blaring, and then you don't see much of him come into season. So we're hoping Rob will stick around for the year this year.
Yeah,
what do you think?
We'll see. If I don't get Geno Smith, maybe I'll...
I might Geno Smith you if you don't.
He's coming up. Well, what's his name? The other guy there is coming up guns blazing. That's what he's doing.
IK, I think the ABCD is his name, something like that.
Some random. But yeah, no, happy to be here. Happy football's here. We're shooting this, recording this Thursday night, so we don't have... we're not quite catching these games, but we'll be rewatching them, and there's a lot of football out there this weekend.
Yeah, so guys, first thing, before we jump into going over all the quarterbacks, just a couple of housekeeping news. First of all, I just want to say special thanks to Bob Harris and the Football Diehards. I was lucky enough to get in his football draft magazine this year, so make sure you check him out at Football Diehard and go pick up his draft magazines. They're very, very good stuff. Lots of great people in those magazines. And then also, don't forget, check out our premium DFS services, guys. We finally launched that. Go out and subscribe to that. Giving away some free swag. Giving away an AJ Green signed jersey, Jamal Charles signed football. Bottom line, though, guys, if you don't win at DFS using what we're providing, it's free. You don't pay us if you don't win. Nobody else is offering that right now, so make sure you check that out. We're going to win some money together this year. So what do you think, guys? You got anything else you want to add before we jump into these quarterbacks, or what do you guys got going on?
Let's get down to work.
Let's do it.
All right. So what we're going to do tonight, guys, is kind of go down ADP according to fantasypros.com, kind of talk about some quarterbacks, talk about what we think about them, and talk about their ADP and where we think if it's going to change before more drafts later this month, or if we think they're being undervalued, overvalued, just kind of what we think about them. So, guys, I got to start off with this one because it's kind of split pretty much across the board, but Andrew Luck, Aaron Rodgers, who's your one, who's your two? Which one are you drafting first if you're drafting a quarterback first?
I'm still going to go Aaron Rodgers. I think you're splitting hairs. You're not going to pick the wrong guy. I really don't think so. And Luck is, he's only going to improve. I think we know what Aaron Rodgers is, and that's probably the best quarterback in football. But Luck is going to be challenging him for that if he isn't already. So I don't know how you make a bad decision between those two, honestly. But for me, right now, it's Rodgers.
Yeah, it's 1A and 1B. I think I like Luck a little better. basically the offense has only gotten better since last season. And for me, in fantasy, I don't necessarily think he's the best real-life quarterback, but in terms of volume, I think he's going to have more volume this year than Rodgers will. They both have a decent run game to keep defenses honest. But like I said, it's 1A and 1B. You're splitting hairs.
Yeah, both are mobile quarterbacks. Both are guys going to get some yards for you running the ball, get some rushing touchdowns. I agree with you guys, 1A, 1B. For me, I'm with Rob. I'm going with Andrew Luck. I just think there's a little more upside there. In comes Andre Johnson, T.Y. Hilton getting his big fat deal earlier this morning. I just think he has a lot more weapons. Frank Gore in the backfield now receiving the ball, so he still has that guy like Ahmad Bradshaw that can kind of catch the ball coming out of the backfield. Aaron Rodgers, like you guys said, 1B for me. I just think Eddie Lacy's going to cut into that a little bit more. I just think Luck has much higher upside. Rodgers probably safer, but Luck I think has higher upside.
The first obvious statement of the year by Rob Druin, the Colts offense clearly got better. Trent Richardson is gone. Everybody knew that, right? Yeah, but come on. You've been off that one for a while. You got to agree there.
We'll get to Trent Richardson, I'm sure, when we get to the running backs, next week probably. But let's skip the Trent Richardson talk for now. So, after those two, I think we can all agree that that's kind of the top tier, and then there's a little bit of a drop-off. And then there seems to be a debate here for the number 3 quarterback between Russell Wilson and Peyton Manning. How are you guys splitting these two up?
I'm Russell this year. I was on him last year. I love that they added Jimmy Graham to that. Are you kidding? Talk about a red zone weapon. Not just I shouldn't say red zone. He's clearly a versatile guy all around the field, no doubt. But I just like the upside of Russell. I think the writing is on the wall for Peyton. I think he's going to have a great year. He's 39 now. They, I think, are going to move to a little bit more of a run attack. And obviously, with the coaching change, that is history kind of says that. When you're Peyton Manning's your quarterback, you're going to make changes for him. That's clear. But I think for me, it's Russell Wilson. Just the upside, adding Jimmy Graham to that.
I don't think I'll end up with either in drafts.
I agree.
Really,
yeah.
There's just...
I don't take them early.
There's uncertainty with both of them. If you don't get those first two, I don't think this is the tier, unless either comes at a great value that you're going to take a gamble. I actually have Manning as my 3rd quarterback, and I think people are discounting him a little too much.
Yeah, I agree.
Last year he played through injury, and had some bad results, but early in the year he was on fire. He was the Peyton that people drafted. So, I think the hype was maybe a little high last year. I think now it's a little low. I think he's somewhere right in between. And Wilson, to me, I think the running was a bit fluky. If he can sustain that running with the addition of Graham in the passing game, then yeah, he can sustain those numbers. But I don't see him repeating that year on the ground.
One thing, Rob, you mentioned, I totally agree with you as far as there was a direct correlation between the injury and his level of play dropping. He was as good as it gets, until he played through some pain, and that obviously he wasn't the same guy. You could see it. That's why they went to the rushing attack that they did. But yeah, again, this is another one. I think between the two, it's close. What do you, Marcus? Split it up for us here.
I think it's Peyton Manning for me, big time. I am way down on Russell Wilson. I just think the rushing statistics are crazy. 850 rushing yards, 6 rushing touchdowns last year. Just to put his passing numbers in perspective for you, Wilson only had 200 more passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns more than Alex Smith. That's how much his rushing statistics really bumped him up last year. You're talking the difference between a number 3 quarterback and a number 20 quarterback. 850 yards, 6 touchdowns is not repeatable. 400 or 500 yards, 3-4 touchdowns probably, but not ahead of guys like Peyton Manning for me. Peyton Manning's just much, much safer. Say all you want about the rushing attack. Peyton Manning's going to throw the ball. He's going to find receivers. He's going to make guys work for it. I'll take Peyton Manning at a discount if he's there in the 4th round, 5th round. In a few leagues, I've actually picked up Peyton Manning because he's fallen to the 4th round, which I think is absolutely crazy.
And then not to harp the point home, but Wilson, for those of you that read into the off-the-field stats, Wilson just got paid. He was playing for the reputation. Now he's the guy. It should be interesting. If you
he's a game manager. That's my thing. He's a game manager. He just, I don't know.
He's a guy who wins games. He does what he has to do to win. He
that's like Tim Tebow talk right there.
No, but you're adding. a guy named Jimmy Graham, who in the last 3 years hasn't had less than 85 receptions.
Sure.
I mean, this is a weapon that he hasn't had.
Yeah.
Period. Name his best receiver he's had in the last 3 years.
Sure. So bump him up from 20 passing touchdowns to 24, 25.
Yeah.
And then you take away those rushing statistics and drop him down to like 400 or 500 yards, 3-4 touchdowns, and I think you got somebody that finishes around quarterback number 7, quarterback number 8 for the season. That's
or those linebackers and safeties have to be a little bit more honest. Keeping is a text. Sorry about that. Keeping Jimmy Graham in check. A little bit more room for Russell to move if he needs to. I don't know. I just the addition to him, maybe I'm.
Matt's reaching right now. He's talking about Jimmy Graham opening up lanes for Wilson to rush apparently for more than 850 yards.
No, but I don't think the drop to 400 like you said. For me, I think it's the Jimmy Graham thing just elevates him for me.
All right, moving on. We just talked about Jimmy Graham, so perfect transition to Drew Brees here. How do you think this affects Drew Brees? Obviously, they, like we just talked about, they moved on from Jimmy Graham. They traded for an offensive lineman. Does this point towards more of a rushing attack in the decline of Drew Brees?
Yeah, and bringing in C.J. Spiller. I think clearly it's why did they move him? He lacks the blocking skills. By he I mean Jimmy Graham. So there's a little bit of a culture change I think going on. I still think Drew is going to be solid. I think Marcus Colston maybe picks up a little bit more as far as the red zone.
We'll talk about him.
I think Brandon Cooks is going to elevate his game. C.J. Spiller being there is going to be a guy who's going to be dynamic. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Clearly that's the thing with him. But I agree with you. I think they're going to more of a running tech. The offseason dictates that, I think.
Still your number 5 quarterback, though. I think consensus number. I think, honestly, I have him ahead of Wilson.
I do as well.
Yeah, no, I don't. But
he was 50 passing yards shy last year of what would have been his 5th 5,000-yard passing season. He still had 33 passing touchdowns. He's still getting it done. I mean, I don't know how you can just be like, Jimmy Graham's gone. I mean, Jimmy Graham's gone. What is that going to bump him down to? 4,400 yards, 4,500 yards, and 28, 29 touchdowns? That's still really good.
Jimmy Graham hasn't had less than 9 touchdowns since his rookie year.
Sure, but it's Drew Brees. He's going to find somebody else.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Marcus Colston will kind of step into that red zone role like he was before Jimmy.
A guy going right behind Drew Brees in ADP, just 5 spots later, Ben Roethlisberger. I am very surprised by this. There's a lot of talk about Ben Roethlisberger. I've heard a lot of industry experts talk about taking Roethlisberger over Manning, which is surprising to me because I find Roethlisberger to be very inconsistent.
It's clearly everyone heard me trumpeting Martavis Bryant last year. It's got to be what it is, right?
It's all one guy. No, I'm right there with you, Marcus.
Martavis Bryant, the guy that's what is he right now? Third on the team in the depth chart, behind my boy Marcus Wheaton.
Yeah, depth charts matter.
Yeah, it's early. It's early. And dealing with injury, but yeah, I'm with you, Marcus. I think the hype is gone too far on Ben. I mean, just his style of play I can't handle as a fan. I mean, from a fantasy perspective, the numbers speak for themselves, but that team, it's a team that didn't make a ton of additions. I mean, we just mentioned Bryant coming in another year. Maybe he makes a difference, but I don't see his running back and his wide receiver both replicating their position number 1 value that they did last year. I see at least one of them dropping off, and I think that impacts him.
Like I said, he's so inconsistent for me, and
he's got a ton of weapons there, though.
He does, no doubt. I mean, he does have a lot of weapons.
Even Dre Archer, 4.2, 640 last year. He's going to be healthy this year, a year in the system. He's another weapon that's going to get added to the mix. I can understand why there's some excitement with Ben, for sure.
His ADP, according to Fantasy Pros right now, is 46th overall. That's putting him at the end of the 4th round.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
I can't even imagine taking a guy like Ben Roethlisberger at the end of the 4th round.
Right now, we're just chatting about if we like these guys, right?
Yeah,
do I like him at their position, though? I mean, where he's being drafted? No way.
I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there.
The depth in quarterback this year is just nuts.
The next couple quarterbacks, next 3 quarterbacks here, I would definitely put in the Ben Roethlisberger territory, and obviously that's why the next 3 on here. Matt Ryan, Tony Romo, Cam Newton. You guys have to pick one of those guys. Who is it? If you're drafting quarterback, those 3 are on the board. Which one you draft?
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton, yeah. I have him ranked as my number 4 quarterback. I'm clearly probably higher than the industry is on him. I think another year of Kelvin Benjamin, hopefully healthy. Camp has some mixed reports, but the addition of Devin Funchess, and then I'm high on Stewart. I think that offense all around gets more productive, and I think the main benefactor of all of that, I think, is Cam Newton.
I want to say this. Out of the three of them, I think you can make a case for all three of them. I think there's little things about each one of them that you could say, this is why I like this guy over all of those guys. But I'm with you guys. I like Cam Newton. To Rob's point, Benjamin, Funchess, he still has Greg Olsen. And Rob, you just said you're high on Jonathan Stewart. I got to tell you, I'm happy that Jonathan Stewart's the running back because I think that makes Cam Newton the number one rushing option. Throwing it out there. I'm just saying, I don't think Jonathan Stewart saves...
You almost could be high to be high on Jonathan Stewart.
I'm just saying, Stewart is so injury prone. I think Cam Newton's going to get a lot of goal line carries now again. Maybe he puts up Russell Wilson-like rushing numbers from last year, that type of thing. Because I can almost guarantee that Stewart misses, 3-4 games? He's just so injury prone.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not going to predict injuries. That's stupid, but...
the other...
I hear you. Yeah.
Out of the other two, if I had to pick between Matt Ryan and Tony Romo, I'm going Tony Romo next.
Yep.
Just because I think he's got weapons, and also with Murray moving on, Murray last year, 392 carries. There's no way they're going to run the ball that much with Darren McFadden and Joseph Randle. There just isn't. So that's going to cause Romo to throw a little bit more, but
I also
more fantasy goodness.
I like Randall out of the backfield. That's really what he excelled at in college at Oklahoma State. It's something that he's definitely better than Murray at. And I'm not going to say he's a better running back. Clearly, Murray had an outstanding year. I like him though. I really do. I don't think McFadden's going to be too much in the mix.
No.
He's going to get some work, but come on, let's face it, he's done. He's still got a little hammy problem. That's all he ever has.
Your argument.
He's been having. He has a little hammy problem since 2012.
Yeah.
Everybody has hammy problems. You mentioned you mentioned the backfield questions. I think that's why I almost go Ryan more. He's got that. Talk about hamstrings and backfields.
Talk about backfield questions.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest ones right there. And then you talk about weapons. I think Dez is very comparable to Julio. So I think
absolutely.
So at that point, I'm looking at which quarterback I think has more talent. And for me, I think it's Ryan. I think Romo is underappreciated. Where he's ranked in quarterback rankings the past few years, he's been underappreciated. But I see Ryan as having more talent. But you're right. They're two guys in very similar situations. You can make the same arguments for both. I think it's a matter of who you would trust more breaking out.
This is exciting, by the way. We did not purposely come in here to argue with all of each other.
I did.
This is how.
Fuck you, Matt.
This is how close these guys really are. It's to each his own type.
There's a lot of ambiguity this year in the draft. We were talking about it before we started the podcast. Mock drafting is just almost worthless this year because you just don't know how it's going to land to you. You don't know who's going to fall and who's going to go where. It's going to be a crazy year this year for fantasy football, that's for sure. Now, I got to kind of disagree here with Fantasy Pros and how people have been getting drafted lately. It looks like next on their list they have Matt Stafford. I am just crazy down on him this year.
Got him in the 15th round in a mock draft last night.
People after him on this list, Tom Brady, Eli Manning, Ryan Tannehill, Phillip Rivers. Give me all four of those guys over Stafford.
Yeah, I'm going Peyton. I'm going Tom and whoever the hell I need to play for possibly those 4 weeks over Matt Stafford.
That's what I'm saying. I can't get behind Stafford.
I feel like Stafford's the guy, if your strategy's always been wait on quarterback, this is the year that, Stafford might be your guy because we're sitting here bashing him, and yeah, we don't believe in him, but as you mentioned, Matt, the value can be right, and people are still drafting Calvin with granted not as high as last year, but they're drafting him still as a first, second rounder, so mostly second round. So, if you believe in Calvin, if you think Tate has a decent shot, if you think Abdullah's going to do something in the running game, you have to somewhat believe in Stafford. I drafted Stafford way too high last year, 5th rounder, killed me.
Is it okay if I don't talk about Abdullah until after our home draft?
No.
Does that mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything about him. I hate him. He's awful.
I just want to say this about Stafford. The last 3 seasons, what's the most passing touchdowns he's had in the last 3 seasons?
31.
I'd say 34.
29.
I won.
Oh, you're close.
But we both lost because we were over.
One! The price is right. $1! Just be that a-hole that bids $1 more than the other guy. Somebody bids like, $1,500, goes $1,501. You just want to fucking kill him. But yeah, last 3 seasons, passing touchdowns for Matthew Stafford, 20, 29, and last season with 22. That's not good passing numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Brady, give me Manning, give me Tannehill. I love Tannehill this year. So many receiving options there. I really, really like Tannehill. I like all the guys they brought in. I mean, Jordan Cameron, and they got rid of Mike Wallace, thank God. Devontae Parker, though, Kenny Stills, I'm a huge Kenny Stills guy. Greg Jennings, Matt, you probably know. Greg Jennings still has something left in the tank, and is probably the best wide receiver for any team out there.
Yeah. Why are you high on Kenny Stills still? He's never still. What has he ever done? He's been a guy that we've talked about, and he's never really done it.
I really
think
like
we know what
Kenny
he
Stills.
is, but... No, I mean, he's a guy to throw in the mix that's not a bad player. I get it.
Jarvis Landry, too. I forget about Jarvis Landry.
Yeah,
Lots of
great
good receivers.
The problem is you can't play 7 receivers in a set. So those guys are all great that you mentioned, but I don't see a true number 1 there. So
I agree.
So with that said, Tannehill's a year older.
I'd rather Carson Palmer.
And we should definitely...
Really?
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I would.
So, wow.
That just threw me off my Kenny Stills game. Matt, Kenny Stills, real quick, 69 yards away last season from a 1,000-yard season.
Yeah, hey, that's good. In today's day and age,
people don't realize that.
Though, yeah, no, that's true. I did not realize that.
He had 1,000 yards on 83 targets.
Yeah, how many catches was that on? Yeah, he's a big play guy.
He is a big play guy, but that's still, I don't think people realize...
Fluky than
63 catches last year.
Okay. Yeah.
That's... When you're talking him as probably your wide receiver 3 on your team behind Jarvis Landry and Devontae Parker when Devontae Parker comes back, he'll be their wide receiver 2 until Parker comes back, but you're talking about him as your 3, Greg Jennings as your 4, and then you got a guy like Jordan Cameron as your tight end? I really like that.
Okay, and then you got Lamar Miller,
who's only getting 15 carries a game because that's all they want to give him.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just saying. But guys, Eli Manning, we skipped over him. I've never been an Eli Manning guy, but I might be getting there this year. Odell Beckham obviously came into his own last year.
Who saw that coming? Oh yeah, me.
No, nobody saw that coming.
Are you sure? We could go back to the podcast where I said, "Give me a couple years, it's gonna be the number."
Couple years, there you go.
You're right. You're right.
Let's talk about this next year.
Yeah.
After he crashes and burns this year. But Victor Cruz coming back, if he can be 80% of what he was, and then you got Larry Donnell who showed up last year in the red zone, Ruben Randall who had a much better year than I think a lot of people realize, and you get good passing out of, good receivers out of the backfield with Shane Vereen now over in New York, and then Rashad Jennings who was no slouch out of the backfield.
Yeah.
I like Eli Manning.
I agree.
I think he's being way underdrafted in leagues. Similar to Matt, to what you were saying in mock drafts about Stafford going to the 15th. Manning's been down there too in the 13th, 14th rounds.
But I don't think anybody drafts Manning and just feels so excited about Eli Manning.
I don't know. I bet Archie does.
And you're right. He has new weapons, but I like that offense. The McAdoo offense. It's the second year in that. It brought Rodgers along, but I don't know. I'm always going to be skeptical of Eli. If you believe in Beckham, I guess you believe in Eli, but I don't believe in Beckham. So, you guys are ready to tout him as the number 1 wideout. I don't know if I'm quite on board yet.
I still like Victor Cruz if he can come back from that injury. I'm not a big Beckham guy. I will not own Beckham on any of my teams because he's going to go way too high for where I draft him. I wouldn't touch Beckham until the 3rd round. I am that down on him.
Is Cruz playing preseason games?
Probably not.
Yeah. I would need to see something feeling comfortable about that situation.
You would wait till the 3rd round to draft Beckham?
I would not draft him before the 3rd round is what I'm saying. I would not draft him in the 2nd. I don't feel strongly about Beckham this year.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, I don't like Beckham.
I don't know what he did wrong last year to make you think that, but holy shit.
He probably did some stuff.
Just so everyone knows, I do not agree. But
I do not endorse the statement of this podcast.
I need to just say something so I don't get thrown into that retarded mix.
Throwing it out there too, just because we talked about Kenny Stills, Ruben Randall, like I said, another guy that I think is undervalued. Ruben Randall last year, 71 receptions, 938 receiving yards last year. So he was almost 1,000 yards.
He was a letdown though. He didn't take the step he should have.
No, you're right. From where he was going to be a couple of years ago, absolutely. But I think last year was a step in the right direction from where he's been.
Injuries kept him kind of formidable. With Cruz and Beckham healthy this year, he's going to be a little bit more on the back end. So I was excited about him a couple of years ago, but he didn't take the step that I expected.
Real quick, guys, Tom Brady, obviously as of right now, a 4-game suspension. I'm going to say it. I think even with a 4-game suspension, 30 touchdowns for him this year. I think it's going to be, it's going to be like it was a few years ago after the whole cheating scandal with the Patriots, where he just comes in and just lights them up and just the big middle finger to everybody.
I love that narrative.
I love it.
Have you ever seen him play football? He is the most...
Never.
You might not have, because he's the most intense guy anyways. Do you think he doesn't try as fucking hard as he can every goddamn Sunday, regardless of how mean people were to him?
But Belichick is going to let him loose this year and just go, you know what, just keep throwing the ball.
You really think Belichick's got that agenda? He's trying to win football games. He's not going to say, go ahead, Tommy. I know they were mean to you. Throw touchdowns. No. He's going to win football games. So
I don't know.
That narrative is all over the place.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I do.
He comes out to play every Sunday regardless of whatever is happening in his life. So I don't know.
Let's put
that's like one of those media-driven for articles and headlines.
Right, yeah.
Oh, that's what I was doing, man. I'm trying to get clicks.
Yeah.
No, real quick, though, let me ask you this. Tom Brady right now, the 11th quarterback off the board. Would you draft him as your number 1 quarterback and then draft another guy a couple rounds later and kind of roll with that other guy for the first 4 weeks? Or are you just not touching Brady unless you're drafting him as your quarterback, too?
No, I'm more in your first scenario, not my number 1 guy, and then just whoever the hell to get through those 4 first weeks.
But I think he'd have to be a value for me to play that card. Just I don't typically carry 2 quarterbacks unless, clearly this situation you have to, otherwise.
Obviously.
But he is value right now, right? He's being picked.
The 11th quarterback off the board?
I don't know. I like him there.
Yeah.
I think that's value.
And with a replacement, I think people underestimate the replacement value.
Exactly.
As well, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, Marcus, to your point, if you can, if your draft, if you have back-to-back picks and Brady's slipping big time, and you can lock up a second, solid starter, then I think you have an argument. Typically, though, I'd rather take a shot on a more upside flex play than be bogged down a bench spot with another quarterback I'm going to drop after 4 weeks.
So I'm reading between the lines, and I'm seeing that Rob is going to draft Brady and back him up with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and he is good. Fitzpatrick's going to be his guy for 4 weeks.
I'm going to draft Brady and probably have Carson Palmer for the first 4 weeks for me. So if we both draft Brady, that's going to be interesting because we're in the same league. The only one that matters.
It's impossible.
Moving on here, next on the list, a guy that's just perennially
Parentally?
Is that a word? Parental?
He's a great parent?
I don't know.
Perennially?
There you go.
I get it. All right.
English, my second language. Phillip Rivers.
Father of the Year award.
14th. Sure. 14th quarterback off the board. This is a guy that always produces the beginning of the year and then kind of tails off. For me, this just speaks to the depth this year at quarterback. I mean, 14th off the board. He's going off the board as a quarterback too. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Pair him up with Tom Brady. Somebody who starts off hot. I cannot talk tonight.
Yeah.
Starts off hot and then kind of trails off, and you got Tom Brady coming in. That's good pairing.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I mean, again, that's one option. I have Rivers lower than most.
Behind Fitzpatrick?
No. Believe it or not, no. But, no, I mean, I don't really... I always underestimate Rivers, though. I'm probably a bad judge of character here. I haven't been drafting him the past 3 years, and he's put up better numbers than I thought. He finds a way to make useful wideouts out of, I mean, look at Gates. Look at what Gates did last year. I mean, I thought he was done, and sure enough, there he is. I think he's done this year.
Well, it's clearly because he was taking steroids.
Yeah. Might have something to do with it, but...
Don't tell him I said that. He's a lot bigger than me.
Bottom line, I think it's it's a bad division for her to play in. I don't. I don't believe in Rivers, and I think it's a big year for Gordon. I think they haven't had a steady running presence, since Tomlinson. So for me, I'm down on Rivers.
How dare you speak badly of Ryan Matthews?
Yeah, I saw Philip actually talking to Ladanian, and he live television. He's like, "We've been trying to replace you." What does Ryan Matthews think? Oh, Philip, we've been trying to replace you since you left. He said.
Next on this list, Teddy Bridgewater, Matt's boy. He looked really good that first preseason game. I will give you that. He looked really, really good. It's preseason. You're going against a bunch of backups for now, but he did look really, really good.
Don't tell Matt that. He was pissed he missed that Wallace pass. He was talking about
It's
that.
huge. You can't do that kind of stuff in the red zone. But Teddy will improve.
I don't know. I don't see myself owning Teddy Bridgewater this year because I think the hype on him has gone a little bit too far.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
He's the 15th quarterback off the board right now?
Yeah, and there's probably 3 or 4 quarterbacks behind him I would still take over him.
Yeah.
I just, in fact, more than that, because I keep forgetting about your Carson Palmer. There's definitely more quarterbacks that I would take after him.
I just
don't
know.
see it.
Matt and I, we're going to be fighting for him on draft day. Well, actually, if you take
Really?
Palmer in the
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of guys I
maybe
like. I won't be fighting for him. I'm not going to take him. I'm not going to take him. I can't say what I'm going to take him. Never mind.
Yeah,
I was looking at
you
me
gonna
too
take
closely.
him, Matt?
Guys, I'm taking over Bridgewater. Flacco, Kaepernick, Bradford, Cutler, Palmer, Foles,
Jeez.
maybe?
You're
Yeah,
Jesus. Come on.
I'll
Yeah,
just-
Foles in a new system. And listen to this guy.
I'll put Dalton
Holy
over him.
shit.
Foles is up there for me. I got at least 6 guys over him.
Jeez. And, what about Bridgewater's numbers do you not like? I mean, his volume was a little low last year, and this year Peterson coming back, obviously, but 64% completion percentage from a rookie. I mean, he's making smart decisions. Granted, I think he was around 19 and 12 or something like that, and the yards weren't off the charts, but I think he's...
I forget, do you get fantasy points for completion percentage?
Yes.
No,
Yes, you do.
my
Shit.
point is he's smarter than the average rookie, and that only builds. For me, I think it starts with completion percentage. It shows that he's making smart decisions out there, which as a rookie you're not supposed to. So, when
14 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Go on.
And how many yards did he have?
2,900.
For a rookie, I think that's very respectable, given the volume. So for me, I think this year he takes a huge step forward with Peterson in the rushing game, demanding respect.
So if this is your thing, the completion percentage, not making mistakes, and an upgrade in the offense, how do you not like a guy like Alex Smith, who has a better completion percentage, better touchdown interception rate, and just got Jeremy Maclin? And at Travis Kelce, who's obviously getting a lot of hype.
Macklin's impact on an offense compared to Adrian Peterson's is night and day.
Compared to an offense, yes, we're talking about quarterbacks.
My point is,
Quarterbacks play offense.
Man, really?
The guy throws takes the
geez,
snap.
That changes everything.
Oh man.
No, my point is that I think Peterson changes the passing game. Bo to Maclin. Macklin's going to see a hit. It's not going to be the same Eagles production he had.
No, absolutely.
But Peterson coming back, compared to and people give McKinnon respect. So some people don't think that's a huge upgrade there. But personally, I think it changes the game drastically. And I like Wallace. I know you bashed Wallace earlier, but
Not a Wallace guy.
personally, I like Wallace in that offense. I think Bridgewater's got a good year coming.
Teddy excels downfield, and that's what Mike Wallace does well. That's why he didn't really fit in Miami, because Ryan Tannehill does not.
Moving on.
You can pay me for all that Bridgewater hype now if you want.
No, I agree with you. I mean, there's so many quarterbacks I like that late that I'll just let whoever falls to me fall to me.
That's just it. It's just so many. I mean, like I just said, it's the Flacco.
I can see him taking a huge jump. I agree with you, Rob.
Kaepernick, Colin Kaepernick. I just want to talk about him real quick before we run out of time here. I really like Colin Kaepernick this year. That defense is going to look night and day from what it did last year. They're going to have to pass a lot to be in the games. No more Frank Gore. Carlos Hyde, I'm not a fan. I just think they're going to pass a lot more. Torrey Smith comes in. That's what they're looking to do, is throw the ball. Defense is going to force them to do it.
A lot of upside there. We've seen it.
Yeah. For me, I'm low on Kaepernick. I don't think the talent's there. I think the volume will be there, but I don't think the talent's there. He's talking about game manager. I think he's the ideal game manager. So For me, I'm low on him, but then again, I believe in Hyde, so we get just some differences of opinion.
Joe Flacco. I'm not a Joe Flacco guy. Steve Smith.
I'd rather go into the season honestly with
Carson
Palmer. Maybe Robert Griffin. Just because there's some upside. I don't want, like, Flacco's the same guy to me as all of those guys at that level.
Yes.
So let me get Robert Griffin and maybe the upside's there, because if it doesn't work out, I'll just go pick up bum number 3.
Let's talk about Philadelphia, just because Philadelphia, whoever the quarterback is there, is going to have fantasy relevancy. Number 1, can we just all agree it's going to be Bradford? Week 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Bradford right now, the number 18 quarterback according to Fantasy Pros. For me, that's way too low. If he's the starter and he's healthy and he's playing, which so far he is, I think that's way too low.
I think you'll see that rise. If he can get on the field in preseason and make some plays, you'll see that go up.
Yeah, you love the offense, of course. It's quarterback friendly.
You guys are both Bridgewater guys. Bradford or Bridgewater?
Bridgewater.
Okay. I'm a Bradford guy.
I think you're splitting hairs between the two right now.
I've always been a Bradford guy. I think I talked about him going into last season because 2 years ago, before he got hurt the first time, I think it was like 6 games into the season, he was actually the number 5 or number 6 overall quarterback in fantasy. When he's healthy, he produces. He's going to be a guy that I'm going to use a lot in daily fantasy because when he plays very, very well. You have to be worried about him in season-long leagues because of the injuries, and that's why he's probably being pushed down to the number 18 quarterback, but he plays. He's good. He gets it done. Similar to your guys' boy Carson Palmer, who we can talk about now. He's another guy. When he plays well, but there's a lot of injury risk there.
Yeah. Going back real quick to Bradford, Chip Kelly is really the thing that makes me the most excited for him, I think, just getting into that offense. He's produced extremely valuable quarterbacks at every level he's coached. And I don't think Bradford clearly
he made Sanchez look like a star.
Yeah, and Bradford clearly has all the talent in the world. There's no question there. Big arm. He's an athletic guy. A lot of people don't know. So yeah, it's an offense. I could see him having an outstanding season. You just hope he can stay healthy. I hope he can for him and finally realize the potential that he definitely has. But Palmer, we were at next. Yeah, go ahead, Rob. I've already mentioned his name 25 times
I think I'm a little lower than you are, Matt. But there's no doubt when he's on the field, he's a contender. And that's the thing for me. It's just the injury risk at that point. Minus injury risk, I see him as a low end QB1. But Marcus, go ahead and bash him now.
For me though,
I like Palmer.
22 overall right now quarterbacks.
I like Palmer.
Yeah.
I think what was it? Last season, when healthy, when he started and played the full game, had at least 20 fantasy points in every game.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets it done when he's healthy. Maybe he's another guy that if you're worried about injury risk, you pair him with Brady. You know what I mean? I don't know. I like him. If he plays, he's good. Obviously, the injury to Michael Floyd hurts him a little bit. I know there's a lot of John Brown hype. I don't really understand that, but it's out there. He gets it done. I like him as well. Let's talk about the rookie quarterbacks here, Winston and Mariota.
Why bother? The position's too deep to try that right now.
There could be some relevance. It's tough when you haven't seen anything, though. It's all reports right now.
The only thing I really want to throw out from this is last season, in this season, we're seeing it right now, everybody loves Mike Evans. Everybody really loves him. But I think what you need to understand a little bit is you have a new quarterback under there, and with new quarterbacks come new favorite receivers. So I don't think it's so guaranteed that it's not going to go back to Vincent Jackson getting all the targets and the receptions. Vincent Jackson last year, I think I read, only had 2 red zone touchdowns all year. And with the number of targets I think he had or something like that, it was the lowest touchdown to target ratio by a wide receiver in like 6 or 7 years or something like that. It was something crazy. Basically saying he was getting very unlucky with his touchdowns. If he had 5 or 6 touchdowns, he would have finished as like a top 15 wide receiver or something crazy like that. So I don't think it's. I'm down on Mike Evans. I'm higher on Vincent Jackson, and I think it's because of that change of quarterback.
But we're not not talking about wide receivers right
No. I understand.
So,
I'm just
you left
saying.
that like you wanted me to say that.
That's just my 2 cents on Jameis Winston. I don't think either of them are going to be fantasy relevant. I don't think you're drafting either of them. But I
see where you stay tuned for the wide receiver podcasts, where Marcus will talk about Mike Evans, and we already did that.
That's
But no,
that's
I mean,
what they call in the biz a teaser.
I like both of them as players. I think they're going to have solid careers and possibly superstar careers. But for just the depth, we're talking about Carson Palmer, number 22. Who are you picking between those three, right? Palmer, clearly, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think they're in the conversation right now.
All right. Anybody else we want to talk about? Cutler, Alex Smith, Nick Foles, Andy Dalton. I mean, Andy Dalton gets it done. Marvin Jones coming back.
Yeah,
I almost said Marvin Harrison. My God.
That's going to be a huge help.
Matt, you obviously have some sort of love for RG3.
Yeah, it's more not no love, or it's just the upside of it. If he's going to be like, he might be a guy I would pair with Tom Brady, just because what if he goes nuts week 1, week 2? You got a trade bait there, maybe. You've seen the upside for him. That's all.
And just a general note about quarterbacks. I think this year more than any other year, you see guys in the late teens and 20 range that have either been or could be top 10 running back or top 10 running backs. Yeah, it's position switch. No, top 10 quarterbacks, because we've always had, it's always been a deep position, but in terms of the potential, the upside, I think it's never been so deep in the later part of the rankings. So, as Matt's talking about Palmer, I mean, we didn't even hit him until, the last 10 minutes of the podcast here, so it's conversation like that where, quarterback's the position where if you hit it big, you can really make a difference waiting.
Yeah, it's so deep this year. I'm going to be one of the last guys to take a quarterback, and like Matt said, I'm just going to, whoever falls to me, and I'll just take whichever one of these guys at the end and stream quarterbacks and be done with it. Yeah, I don't know. So I guess that's it, guys. Nobody. You guys don't want to talk about Cutler or anything? No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's all right.
Yeah,
Cutler. Brandon Marshall's done enough of that.
All right, guys. So actually, that brings up a good point. Fitzpatrick. Do we want to talk about Fitzpatrick? I like it more for Marshall than anything. I like Fitzpatrick. Bottom line, if you told me somehow Geno was going to, in a parallel universe, Geno was going to start in the Jets offense, and Marshall was going to start in the Jets offense, and you had to pick one of them, I would have taken Fitzpatrick anyway.
Yeah, he's great for one of you if you're in a 3-quarterback league, and every quarterback's getting drafted on a team.
If you're in an all New York team.
He's got some familiarity with the offense. I mean, that's going to be one nice thing for maybe the rest of the weapons too.
I've always been a Fitzpatrick guy. He's always done well, especially with Chan Gailey.
Rob, do you think that you should upgrade or downgrade any of the Jets' weapons? Isn't that funny to say that? I don't know how many they have, but Jets' weapons.
I don't know if they're weapons quite.
Their pieces, would you upgrade or downgrade any of them based on the Geno Smith punch-out?
No, I think they stay
right where they were.
We should do that. Somebody needs to take Mike Tyson's punch-out and just put Geno Smith in there, dodging bullets, dodging punches.
Except it doesn't seem like he dodged many. So
he needs to be like the King Hippo guy, but like with Geno Smith's face. It's just pew.
I don't know if I ever got to King Hippo.
All right, guys. I think that does it for the quarterback portion of this podcast. Going to come back in a little bit here and do part 2 of the podcast with the tight end, so stay tuned for that.